Hello and welcome to NTA Tuesday Live. Omino Dan is my name. Tonight, preparations for 2018 Hajj in focus, but first, the National Assembly Open Week. Governments around the world are promoting initiatives in transparency or open governance for accountability and curbing corruption to encourage trust in government and meaningful citizens' participation for more informed and better policies. A practice that analysts say is highly cherished by the Parliament, that is further strengthened with the 2012 Declaration on Parliamentary Openness signed by 140 organizations in 75 countries to promote greater transparency and accountability through strategies that include easing access to parliamentary information and promoting direct citizens' engagement. It is on note that the National Assembly has made considerable efforts in this regard with live coverage of plenary and committee meetings, a position further reinforced by the Freedom of Information Act, initiated and passed by the National Assembly to aid good governance and accountability. There are stands that the National Assembly could do better to improve public confidence and encourage public engagements as well as correct certain public perception with issues of emolument of members, among others. It is against this background that the National Assembly initiated Open Week to deepen understanding of the legislature. The focus for the 2018 Advancing Inclusive Governance through Legislative Openness. What is the anticipated gains and strategy in deepening democratic governance? Answers after this background report by Kenneth Nanim.
The legislature is believed to be the symbol of democracy the world over. Long history of military rule in Nigeria has, however, made this important democratic arm undeveloped. This situation also created a lingering gap between the people and their representatives, which in some cases are responsible for the decline of public trust and perception of the legislature. The return to democratic governance in 1999, therefore, saw the legislature grappling with inadequate knowledge of parliamentary business, experience and expertise. Conflicting interest is one factor that often play out amongst members at both national and state legislature. It is against this backdrop and to further consolidate the country's democracy that the National Institute for Legislative Studies was established as an organ of the National Assembly in 2011. In 2016, however, the Governing Council of the Institute approved the establishment of new Department of Democratic Studies and that for postgraduate studies. This came through the Amendment Act of 2017, which was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari in January this year.
We've been doing a lot of work in training, resourcing, that's knowledge management activities generally, bill analysis, drafting of bills, drafting of motions, policy briefs, issue briefs. These are all knowledge management activities. We've been doing a lot of those.
The impact of NIST was immediate and phenomenal. The Institute, an affiliate of University of Benin, has not only been building capacities of legislators and legislative staff, but has risen also to become one of the premier parliamentary academic and research centers that is reckoned with globally.
We've also expanded our scope to train in national parliaments of other ECOWAS countries. And we've even had training sessions with countries from East Africa, Somalia, and so on. And we have a project called NILSCAP, supported by Africa Capacity Building Foundation, which is actually devoted to the ECOWAS Parliament and national parliaments of ECOWAS countries.
The mandate of NIST has also been expanded to undertake higher national diploma courses on official reporting and parliamentary administration, in addition to training of students at secondary level. The Institute has continued to facilitate various fora for engagement between the public and the arms of government for the sustenance of Nigeria's democracy.
The report by Kenneth Nanim on National Assembly Open Week 2018, which is on the theme Advancing Inclusive Governance Through Legislative Openness. Is the first leg on Tuesday Live tonight. Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Thanks for joining us on Tuesday Live.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
All the way from joining us from Kaduna Network Center is Professor Kabiru Mato, Commissioner, Local Government Affairs, Kaduna State. Thanks for joining us on Tuesday Live. Okay. Well, starting from you, when we hear National Assembly Open Week, it sends a lot of thoughts, concerns. What is it all about? So let me just ask you, National Assembly Open Week, what is it all about and what are the goals it wants to achieve?
Well, let me say a very good evening to our viewers. First, if you recall, the legislature, as rightly pointed out in your report, is actually the arm of government that represents the face of democracy. And so many citizens are yet to fully come to terms with what exactly are the legislature supposed to be doing. Many people see the legislature sometimes even as a pest. Some people see the legislature as, a gathering of people who don't know what they are doing. And so many other wrong accusations and perceptions. And so over the years, we've realized that the National Assembly has always been at the receiving end of misinformation, misrepresentation, negative perceptions, and the like. And so, in line with this 8th Assembly's commitment to improve our processes and promote good governance, which we captured properly in our legislative agenda, both in the Senate and the House of Representatives, we thought it wise to be innovative in our approach to running the legislative arm of government. And so one of the innovations that this 8th Assembly, under the leadership of distinguished Senator Abubakar Bukola Saraki, the Senate President, and Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, is for us to come up with the National Assembly Open Week. And it is designed to allow Nigerians have a better peep into what the National Assembly does, how we do it, and what we achieve in doing whatever we are doing. And so when we say National Assembly Open Week, it is designed to allow interaction between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, so that we can see the point of convergence, we can see the areas of synergy, and we can fully understand, the three of us, that it is when we pull together in the same direction that we're able to succeed. Even though that element of separation of power as enshrined in the democratic principles and doctrine is clear, but it is also expected that in working, we are working for the Nigerian citizens, and so we must realize that, all of us, and that is the essence of this National Assembly Open Week. Okay. Now, it is also designed to allow people see the workings of the committees, because there are exhibitions being put in place by committees. Okay.
I almost would have asked you, talked about to create an avenue for legislative, executive, and judiciary interaction. Yeah. I almost asked you, what about the people? But you've just talked about the people now. Yeah. Now, but when one hears about National Assembly Open Week, I thought it was a platform where the House of Representatives, the senators, who go to their various senatorial districts, federal constituencies, and interact with the people, then return back and maybe make reports. That was what we thought about.
No, naturally, for every representative, whether in the Senate or in the House, you have a way in which you interface with your people. But when you step into the chamber, you are stepping in as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or as a honorable member of the House of Representatives. And in line with the Constitution and the oath of office we all swore, it is expected that we are working for Nigeria. Okay. And so the view I bring from Niger North, for example, which is my senatorial district, is simply to bring the little small picture and ensure that it is within the big picture. Okay. That is Nigeria. And I think that is what every representative does. But the point here in the open week is the legislature works very, very much through the committees. When we go to plenary, it is at the plenary we assign responsibilities to the various committees. For example, you bring a motion and there are prayers within that motion that has to be referred to a committee. It is during plenary that we do that. And because of our number, which is based on representation anyway, it is not easy for things to be thoroughly discussed at the level of plenary. So what we normally do is to assign these responsibilities to committees, and then the committees go back in some smaller number, go through the grind, take the details, refine it properly, and by the time they are bringing a report, they bring a report to plenary. It is assumed that more than 70 to 80% of the work has been done, and then the rest 20% will now be taken care of in the plenary, because you want other members to bring in fresh perspective.
Invariably, the National Assembly Open Week 2018 is not about, say, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi being visited or attending to people he represents.
No.
It is open to all Nigerians, not minding where you represent.
Where you represent, but based on the interest the committee is taking care of.
So before we go to Kaduna, what model are you adopting? This is the very first one, right?
Well, to
this
me,
is the inaugural one.
This is a very innovative step. It's an innovation. Okay. It is novel. We've not actually seen it anywhere, but we are taking it on board now, because Nigeria is a very intelligent country. It's a country full of intelligent people who wants to know. Okay. And this 8th Assembly is very sensitive to the yearnings and aspirations of its citizens. And so we are responsive to the fact that many people desire to know. And that desire to know can only be done through various processes. So this particular open week is one of the mechanisms we thought we should bring up, so that we can provide other avenues in addition to all the others, because like you said in your report, our, what did they call it, plenaries are being covered by various media houses. When we have public hearings, we invite, the general public to come and witness. And for the very first time also, you remember, the budget itself, the national budget, is now being subjected to public hearing, unlike before. So this is a very innovative 8th Assembly.
Yes. Let me go to Kaduna, where Professor Kabiru Matu, Commissioner of Local Government Affairs, Kaduna State, is waiting. Prof, advancing inclusive governance through legislative openness is the theme of this year's National Assembly Open Week. What do you make of it?
Well, thank you very much. I think, like Senator Sabi said, it's a very wonderful initiative of the 8th National Assembly, especially when placed against the backdrop of the very severe criticism that the National Assembly in particular and the legislature in general have been subjected to in the last 17 or 18 years of civil rule. Of course, we are all witnesses to the fact that the National Assembly has been the whipping child of democracy, and I also accept to the fact that yes, if you tune into the Nigerian Constitution where the various arms of government are mentioned, you'll find that the legislature is one, executive, and then the judiciary. The Constitution itself does not say very specifically that the order of numbering, suggests any measure of seniority between the three arms of government. But by implication, therefore, it tells you that the legislature is the pillar of democracy. Now, what's happening in Nigeria over the last several years is that the National Assembly has been faced with very serious, probably lack of understanding, or in several other instances, inability to live up to the expectation of the citizenry as a result of one reason or the other. So in my view, the program presents a very good opportunity for the National Assembly, not just to tell the Nigerian people what it's been, but also to listen and begin to address the various concerns that have raised over the activities of the National Assembly in the last several years. Let me give you one example. Since 1999, the major crisis the National Assembly has faced was the decision of the Obasanjo administration between 1999 and 2003 to pitch the people against the legislature, especially given the fact that it was the first time in very many years that Nigerians were being subjected to, civil rule, where the legislature, as a very central partner, was set to, check and balance the activities of the executive arm of government. President Obasanjo did not see reason in submitting the will of the executive to the wills of the legislature at that particular point in time, and so the tactics of the government was to pitch the people against the legislature, and that began, if you could recall, with the issue of furniture allowance by the Senate and House of Representatives. A senator was said, to take 5 million naira to furnish his or her residential apartment, while the member of the House was 3.5 million naira. The executive portrayed it to the Nigerian people. And the unassuming commentators, therefore, took advantage of that and tried to make nonsense of the legislature at that particular point of time. So that marked the beginning of a particular pattern of relationship between the legislature and the executive in Nigeria, and which tremendously has impacted on the nature of the understanding which the ordinary Nigerian, had about what Parliament or what the legislature actually is all about. So I think this Open Week presents the National Assembly with the opportunity to begin to address very critical and crucial issues that not just ordinary Nigerians are raising, but even very senior members of the society about certain things that are obtained in the National Assembly. First of all is that I think we need to take a historiographic look at the two chambers of the National Assembly from 1999 to 2003 and up to the contemporary times to see whether there has been any addition in terms of quality of representation and legislation that we see in these houses separately and collectively. That is one. And secondly, also, to begin to address the very critical issues that a lot of Nigerians are asking about, not just emolument. When you take it to the level of emolument, I think it reduces the essence of the discussion. A lot of questions are being asked. One of the most recent accusations that were put before the National Assembly was that by Professor Tahiru Jega, which accused the National Assembly of massive corruption. And Nigerians didn't hear anything serious as a response coming from the National Assembly. Instead, the only thing that the Senate President said was that Professor Jega should identify or name people who are corrupt in the National Assembly. I think the issue should go far beyond that, to the extent that the legislature now has the burden of proof pushed to it. It's against the principle of natural justice to push the burden of proof, from the person who is accusing to the accused. But in this case, it's becoming a preponderant national argument by the minute that some of us have spent quite a lot of time in the last 16, 17 years trying to explain, especially to those who ordinarily should know, the necessity and the complexities of the legislature, especially under a presidential system of government, and why running a government is not an easy business. It's obviously, but the question that the citizens will always continue to ask, and they desire answers from those who represent them, is the necessity and the essentiality of the lump sum of money that is being expended on a minute-by-minute basis in order to ensure, that there are no very visible leakages that at the end of the day will serve as a drain on the national treasury. And thus, for instance, you talk about the issue of constituency projects, which a lot of people, professors, and then very enlightened Nigerians continue to talk about. They said the members of the National Assembly allocate some sums of money in every year's budget so that they determine, what projects are done, and not just determining what projects are done, but that these projects are in themselves executed by members of the National Assembly. And this is completely a fallacy. And it's one area, of course, that the National Assembly has not been able to very extricately and, continue to shed light and inform, because it is about checks and balances, not just about checks and balances, it's about explaining to the electorate, the validity the veracity and validity of whatever action that the legislature takes, in the process of delivering its mandate of representation, lawmaking, and oversight. So I think this week presents the National Assembly with an open opportunity to have a searchlight on how it has, for instance, has the Senate, improved in its own capacity from 1999 to what's happening today? This is a big question that a lot of Nigerians will wish the Senate itself to answer. I used to know, for instance, that the House of Representatives, by virtue of the nature of its membership, which normally is populated by very young and exuberant people, is prone to a lot of crisis. In the last 3 years, we have not seen this type of crisis coming from the House of Representatives. Instead, for the first time, we saw it coming from the Senate. So this open week provides a lot of opportunity for the Senate and House of Representatives to try to explain to Nigerians why things are happening the way they are happening, why all these allegations that people are making against these institutions are not necessarily, correct. It's not the responsibility of anybody else to do that, but it's the responsibility of the National Assembly, to try to, it's not protecting itself, but explaining to those that have sent them to Abuja, to do specific functions, what they are doing, and why they are doing these things the way they are doing them.
Also joining us tonight is Honorable Peter Akpatason, Chairman, House Committee on Civil Society Organizations and Development Partners. Thanks for joining us on Tuesday Live.
You're welcome.
Well, Senator Sabi, you heard the line of thought by Professor Kabiru Matu. He went ahead to even give Nigerians what I would call expo on what to do. So now, given his line of thought and the call by Sani from Kaduna and the reactions by Nigerians, what mode will this take? Because I thought it was going to the constituencies or the senatorial districts. What mode will it take?
Well, like I said earlier, this is an innovation. This is the very first one.
But you have said so already.
And
what mode will it take now?
What I want to say here is that for us now, what we hope to achieve is that during this period, Nigerians of all walks of life are invited to the National Assembly to interact with the various committees. We've done the opening ceremony where we've had discussions between the executive and the legislature. The Minister of Budget and National Planning was there to make a presentation. The DG of the Infrastructural Concession and Regulatory Commission was there to make a presentation. And anchored on all of this is for us to see the policy process and to now see where the gaps in terms of where the National Assembly comes in is being situated. And I think during that particular session, it was also, heralded with another, a drama, which was packaged by, some Nollywood actors.
After the opening session?
No, during the opening.
After the opening session.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah.
You see, these are some of the problems we also have. You've asked a question now. We're trying to explain. You want to shorten it, and at the end of the day, we live here giving half-baked information to citizens. I thought the process is for us to understand, so that people can now see the extent to which we are going. Nollywood actors were brought in to help us to reshape. They did a drama called Imbroglio to showcase how important it is for the two arms of government to work. Now, that is something very significant, because if you look at the last 3 years, for example, most Nigerians are worried about the fact that there is a feud between the executive and the legislature. Any little things is being amplified, over-amplified. So I think what we try to do is to douse the tension by showcasing how we are supposed to work. And I think we've done that creditably well. Now, what is going to happen subsequently is the exhibition by the various committees. The committees are there for Nigerians to go and ask, Senate Committee on Power, Steel Development and Metallurgy, what are you doing? And they'll be able to explain to you what the committee is all about. And if there are issues that you are concerned about, the committees have been aggregated in a manner that you can ask any question through them, so that we can also get feedback. Okay. So I think that is the mode in which it is going to go. And let me say that we are expecting, after this particular inaugural one, of course, the lessons of implementing it will go a long way in helping us to shape the second edition, which will be coming the next year, perhaps maybe under the 9th Assembly. But what is important is that we have set the pace, we have laid a foundation, and anchored on that foundation is the need for Nigerians to understand the workings of the three arms of government, but most importantly, the legislature, which is the face of democracy. And let me quickly add here that the way we do our work, like Professor Kabiru Mato said, the role of lawmaking, legislature, what did they call it, representation and oversight, is all intertwined. Now, if you go for oversight, if you see problems, that problems could, prick your mind to the extent that you come back and say, look, we need to amend some elements of our law. So I think this is the way these things work. Now, the element of representation, if you go back home and there are problems, when you bring that problems back, that problem might anchor or reflect a general malaise in the country. But using your own constituency, you are bringing it to the fore.
Okay, let me hold you there and move on to Peter Patterson. Yeah. I believe you're set for the open week. Is it from what hour to what hour should citizens be coming to the National Assembly, both reps and senates?
Are you talking about the normal day?
No, the National Open Week. The National Assembly Open Week.
Okay, basically it is meant for the public. It is meant for the other arms of government. It is meant for the public and for other arms of government to have an opportunity to interact with the legislature and to also be able to make suggestions, as to how best, to find a synergy between the three arms of government in order to promote the process of delivering services to the same people. So there is no restriction with respect to what time they can come into National Assembly. The program starts in the morning, and those who have registered and those who are interested and who could still register anyway are free to come in from the moment that we start in the morning. Even as early as 9 o'clock, they are free to come in and stay.
My concern is
and stay till
from 9 a.m. to about what time? Is it the entire day?
4.
You are not bound to remain all through. Of course, we have sessions, and you can look at areas of interest like tomorrow. Okay. You'll be having civil society organizations and labor and related groups. So if you are somebody who is interested in matters like that, you can come and stay from the beginning to the end.
Which is about 4 o'clock.
Exactly, 4 o'clock. Okay. But if you are not interested in everything that is on the ticket for that day, you select what you are interested in, because the essence is to enable people make input and have a better understanding of how we work.
The input that just came from Sani, for instance, Professor Kabiru Mato has talked about the necessity and essentiality of the National Assembly, searchlight for the National Assembly, and Sani from Kaduna is talking about the need for the National Assembly to think towards translating, working on the modality to translate separation of powers into the national local languages. Well, ultimately, we don't have all the time for this. We have to segment. What message do you have for the, like Kabiru Mato said, this is an opportunity for a lot of Nigerians to clear the air, to do a search on National Assembly to clear the air on certain controversial issues. So I hope you're open for this.
Well, I'm open to this, but the point must be made that time is not on our side. Time is not enough. Okay. Because these are very serious issues. But first, let me just attempt to do justice to one or two areas. Let me say that quickly, that in the process of lawmaking, who are we making this law for? We are making this law to serve Nigerians. And I think this is not lost on us. And like many of your viewers, even from the street, said, we have really taken the needs of Nigerians. The not too young to run bill was actually coming from the young people. And we promoted it. And it went through, and today is celebrated. Now, the Northeast Development Commission, which you talked about, and so many other laws that we have made for good governance. That is what the National Assembly is all about, and we'll continue to do that. Then the other aspect is that it is important for people to know that when we go to the National Assembly during plenary, it is not only plenary that is our work. And so when you see the plenary being beamed, for example, live, and you don't see some members, they may be on oversight.
Sure.
They might have traveled for some other engagement. Okay. We are members of the International and Interparliamentary Union. We are members of so many other regional and sub-regional and international parliamentary bodies. So a number of our colleagues, both from the reps and the Senate, they are members of these committees or these bodies, and they also travel to participate, to anchor Nigeria's image at those levels.
Okay, before I wrap up this segment, let me take on Akwataso. For Nigerians who they may not be wanting to come forward, what message do you have for them? Because this is an opportunity for a lot of them who want to clarification on certain areas.
I wonder what will make somebody who wants clarification not to want to come forward.
No,
ideally.
By chance, we have them.
But
what
however,
for them? Yeah.
The essence of the Open Week is to actually provide the opportunity for such people to come and participate, interrogate and scrutinize the National Assembly and make contributions towards enhancing the processes that will lead to delivering quality services to them. So I think people should be naturally motivated to come. But however, if there's anybody for whatever reason that is not willing to come, I want to appeal that this is an opportunity that they should grab. You can't sit back and keep complaining that, oh, these processes are opaque, we don't understand what they are doing. Somebody will wake up in the morning and say budget is padded, budget is not padded, and all of that. You have an opportunity to come here now and see the processes involved in budget making, the challenges associated with that. Yes, that was one of the issues that was discussed today. You understand me? Both members of the judiciary, the executive arm and legislators sat together, as well as civil society people and interested members of the public to dissect those processes properly and make recommendations on how best to go about it to reduce the tension and friction generated by inadequate consultation, leading to the production of what we consider in the National Assembly to be a proposal from the executive, which the legislators will pass through their own mill to become an appropriation. Okay. The gaps are so much, and I was happy today when I saw that non-members of the parliaments were able to identify such gaps and make inputs into how best to fill them, so that we don't continue in this, friction and adversarial relationship forever.
Well, just one point, please.
Okay, just one.
The issue is you asked going forward.
Yes.
Our sessions are open. We have a gallery, and people who really want to see how we carry out our work are free to come and register and participate by seeing what is happening through the gallery. And every other day, the committees are there. You can visit any one of them. The website of the National Assembly is also another platform through which you can interrogate what we are doing and see exactly what we are doing.
Starting from Monday to Friday?
Yes, every day. In fact, for the website, it's 247, online. Real time, every time. Because we are signed up, like you said, to the Interparliamentary Open. So it's one of the requirements, the website.
Our next segment is how prepared is Nigeria for the 2018 Hajj? In focus after this time out. Stay with us.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thank you so much for staying on with Tuesday Live tonight. Our second leg of discussion on the program is on Hajj, the fifth pillar of Islam, which is about to commence. The National Hajj Commission is working towards a hitch-free exercise. The focus tonight is preparations for the 2018 Hajj exercise, and I have with me those who should know to throw more light on innovative mechanism in place to guarantee a successful operation after this report by Eliazu Ali Yakubu.
The National Hajj Commission has been stepping up its efforts aimed at improving Hajj operations based on peculiarities and challenges. These efforts have recorded tremendous successes as investigations reveal that early airlift of intending pilgrims to and fro, improve welfare of pilgrims and enhance healthcare delivery is making steady progress. chairman of the commission said engagement with stakeholders will continue with new strategies. He said this final preparatory meeting is aimed at leaving no stone unturned to ensure a successful conduct of the 2018 Hajj.
We have reviewed what we have done, and we have confidence that, God willing, the 2018 Hajj will be an improved version of 2017, which was applauded to be very successful in terms of the quality of service and the behavior of the pilgrims.
Some of the stakeholders expressed satisfaction with the level of preparations, however, attributed the declining number of the 2018 intended pilgrims to the communal and herders farmers crisis.
I mean, we are going to see major improvement compared to what happened last year.
More opportunities for intending pilgrims is in the horizon as the Commission introduces a 5-year savings scheme that will allow the less privileged intending pilgrims to plan their payment within 5 years. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
Ilyasu's report sets us ready for this segment of Tuesday Live, preparations for 2018 Hajj. The Director of Policy Research, Information and Library Services of the National Hajj Commission, Suleiman Osman. Thanks for joining us on Tuesday Live.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Okay. Alhaji Salihu Abdullahi Butu, Acting President, Association of Hajj and Umrah Operators of Nigeria. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Shehu Wada, Director, Max Airlines, representing airlines involved in the Hajj Airlift. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And the last but not the least tonight is Malam Mohammed Bashir, Executive Director, FCT Muslims Pilgrims Welfare Board. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us in the program.
Well, quickly, for my immediate right, let me start by saying, Suleiman, how prepared is the National Hajj Commission for the 2018 exercise?
I would say we are adequately ready now because the airlines are poised to position. The pilgrims have paid to a great extent. The state have prepared the document, preparing the documents. Visas have been issued. Accommodation had earlier on been secured. Land transport in Saudi Arabia and all the rest services needed are in place. So I believe it's a question of some final finishing touches and being able to get to the date set, which is the 21st of this month for the inaugural flight.
Okay. Well, let me go straight to Wada, right?
Yes.
If we put all the logistics in place, coordinations, and at the end of the day, the airlift becomes a problem. It poses a very big challenge. Suleiman has said, you said, how well and ready are you to airlift these pilgrims, talking about from the first, right?
21st.
Okay.
We are starting with Kogi as our inaugural flight. Everything is set. We've positioned about 3 aircraft for airlifting. And each of our aircraft have 560 configuration. And each of the aircraft has capacity of taking at least 15,000. So, and if you look at the program, what's the turnouts this year's Hajj? As of the time that we signed the contract, we signed about 15,000 plus. So we are fully ready. The NCA has inspected our aircraft. Everything is...
Do you mean your own, you're a representative of the airlines?
Yes.
Your own, including the others?
Including the others.
Okay.
We are the carriers for this year Hajj. We are 3 in number. So 30% Saudi flying us, I think it's flying us, and Medview and Marcia. In our own, we are carrying at least 50%. And Medview is carrying the rest.
Okay, let me hear from Malam Mohammed Bashir. Suleiman has given us a general perspective, and you're heading FCT. In terms of due diligence, medicals, all that, how set is the FCT?
Well, as far as FCT pilgrims of airport is concerned, we are fully set for that very important journey. Apart from the FCT, other states, I've been in touch with them, particularly the northern part of the state of Nigeria. I was able to talk to Zamfara, talk to Katsina, Benue, Nasarawa, and Kogi this afternoon. We are fully set for that. And we even had our own stakeholders meeting this afternoon, including the islanders, all the stakeholders, including the people at the airport, and then the Kogi state, and Benue and Nasarawa state. So we are hosting them here in our own camp, so we are fully ready for that. On the issue of FCT pilgrims, we are all ready for the starting of our airlifting, because we embark on our orientation, which we finished. We did our medical screening. We were able to inoculate all the pilgrims, intending pilgrims. We were able to give them their bags, their uniform, and as I'm telling you today, we are able to do our thumbprint. About 80% of our pilgrims are already been thumbprinted. They are already finished doing their biometric, I can say. And we were here sometimes 2 days back with the Chairman of the National Commission of Nigeria. He came to the place and supervised the way we do our biometric. He was so satisfied, and then the public can attest to that. As far as FCT is concerned, we are fully ready for that. Tomorrow, we are going to meet with CBN regarding our BTA, so that we are the last people to be airlifted within the Abuja zone.
Okay, let me go to Saliu Abdullahi Butu. You are the president of Association of Hajj and Umrah Operators of Nigeria. Given the testimonies given so far, do you think all is in place? Because you are supposed to be checkmating more or less.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good evening, viewers. And as the tour operators, we are very much prepared. We have been licensed by the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. We have had our stakeholders meeting just last week, and all preparation was on the top gear. Our members are currently in Saudi Arabia signing their contracts as far as the housing is concerned. All other preparation is still on. We are very much prepared. Even within our association, we have designed and a monitoring team this year to make some refund, so that at the end of this year, all activities will be monitored, will be evaluated. There should be improvement in services. We have a committee that are going to work in Mina, in Arafah, in Medina Airport to make sure that Nigerian pilgrims get the best of services this year than ever. We are also very much ready and very much committed to the new policy of National Health Commission of Nigeria that gives us a standard that no tour operator will go and give a houses below that standard, and we are very committed to meet up with that standard to make sure that the Nigerian pilgrims this year get the best of services. And we hope and believe that the compliance level by you is within the stipulations of the Hajj Commission, so I don't give them much headache. No, we are very much complying with the Hajj Commission and the interest of the pilgrims. Okay, quickly, let me get back to Suleiman. Are there restrictions for this year, 2018, and what's the total population we are looking at? Now, immediately we're looking at about 32,000 pilgrims this year. Across the country? Across the country. That excludes the tour operator pilgrims. If we're lucky, maybe about 10,000 this year. I hope he's in a better position to tell us that. Then, as for restrictions, yes, obviously, Hajj is a dynamic operation, keeps changing. Regulations of Saudi Arabia, civil aviation authorities, regulations in Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and then the transit countries whose airspace we cross all come to play. For this year, one particular issue is that women that are 35 years and above may not require a muharram, a male accompanying. They could be allowed to go in group of women. That's how the visa has been processed. As unlike last year, they had to have a male muharram to go. Secondly, all payments this year would be made, most payments rather, would be made electronically.
for all the services the pilgrims are going to enjoy. That is to say, by the time a state like FC tells you they've processed 1,500 visas, it means the payments for the accommodation, landing rights, Makkah Medina feeding, bus transport system, and related items are already paid for, because the Commission has a pool of funds from which the Saudi authorities simply take in the amount per pilgrims times the total number of people issued with visas. Okay. This is a little bit an improved thing compared to last year. Otherwise, things are perfectly normal.
So you are sure that within 1 week this 32,000 will be lifted?
1 week, nobody made that pledge, I'm sure. The airlift is normally spread across 30 days out and 30 days back. Okay. If you put them together, juxtapose them, that would give you about 45 days.
With all the arrangements put in place, usually it takes coordination, working in sync, working as a team. Let me take this to Butu. What arrangement is your sector making to check abscondment?
Yeah, as I said earlier, we have a monitoring committee that we have set up to check whatever needed to be checked up so that there should be best services. Secondly, the issue of abscondment, we have a lot of workshop and seminars with our people to make sure that we have known whoever you are taking to Saudi Arabia and eyes on whoever is there, so that to make sure that this issue is being taken much care of. And I want to say it that some of the challenges that we do have this year, because of the policy of Saudi Arabia, that there should be an early registration of pilgrim this year. Even not because of the intervention of Mr. President, that Hajj could have been, will not be easy this year, because Saudi expected us to finish all our registration before Ramadan. But it was the intervention of Mr. President through NACON that they went into Saudi and get an extension for us. Now we have a deadline of 25 of this month to make sure that we finish registering all our pilgrims. And 2025 is by the corner. What we suffer, most of the tour Nigerian pilgrims that normally goes through tour operators, they always expect that they should register at the late hours. I was having a discussion with somebody yesterday. He said the fund are supposed to use it and buy my mess from the villages, taking it until the late hours before I bring it to you. And Hajj is no more like a supermarket shopping anymore. Okay. Nigerians need to know that they supposed to have registered for their pilgrimage as early enough. There should be adequate preparation henceforth. If not, because I'm seeing that so many Nigerians may likely miss Hajj because of refusing to adopt to the new policies, expecting that at any time I'm willing to go for Hajj, I can just come and register. But by 2025 of this month, anybody that could not approach any of his tour operators, pay his money and get registered, may likely miss this Hajj. Okay.
If such a case occurs and you really want to assist them, what happens? How do you handle it from what you have raised?
The issue remains, the closing date is sacrosanct. It's not something you could shift. Okay. Once the portal is closed, it's closed. You cannot register anybody. But I want to react to two things associated with that. Number one, that we have relatively low turnout of pilgrims this year is not a factor of just the cattle rearers farmers clash thing, but also the factor Butu mentioned. People are used to the fact that they want to delay to the last minute to pay, supermarket kind of thing. That people would have to understand. The NACON is mentally prepared. If it's only 10,000, we'll take them on Hajj, come back. Next year, if you are told of a deadline, then you'll be ready and pay on time.
Is that late now?
It's getting late already. 25th and today 17th. They are talking about actually 8 days. Some people would want to extend that to another 2 weeks, which is not possible. So I really think these things would improve with time, at least from next year. Particularly if people key into our Hajj saving scheme, which we're rolling out hopefully next year, then people can pay installmentally for the Hajj across 4, 5, 10 years, if you like. then that time nobody is in a haste. Nigeria is one of the countries with the largest number going to Saudi that collects the money for that year from the pilgrims that same year and then takes them to Saudi Arabia. Other countries with even low number as 25,000, like Malaysia, one of the most advanced in Hajj management, they receive this payment 10, 20 years in advance. Now they know the person to go on Hajj the next 15 years. The first to the last one they know.
So do you plan to adopt that here in Nigeria?
Certainly, yes. That's
How
what
soon?
we're trying to do. Next year, hopefully. Inshallah.
Okay, let's look at local content. I believe you're an indigenous airline, right?
Yes.
And I believe the Hajj Commission patronizes the indigenous, talking about local content. Do you replicate that in your services within the airlines? Not that the Hajj Commission patronize you as a for local content, and in turn you render foreign services within. You don't give credence to local content.
No, actually, most of our crew members are local, are indigenous. Cabin crew and flying crew. Apart from that, caterers are also local. So, but we make sure that we give them international standard. You know, aviation is our international. There is regulation. NCA monitors, and all the security agency, they also monitor us. So we make sure that we give them international standard through local content.
Okay. Over the years, the Saudi authorities have always commended Nigeria for making a good outing. Do we intend to improve on this?
Yes.
Or are we going to step down?
No, the issue is that whenever we normally measure ourselves, all the states, we evaluate ourselves. At the end of each and every operation, we make a standard. And the belief is that if you cannot go beyond what you have done last year, you should be able to maintain the standard. So as far as FCT is concerned, I'm talking, and by extension other states, well, I believe we are going to improve on what we have done last year. So we will always evaluate ourselves and know what we were last year, what we intend to go the next year. So I believe we are going to improve more upon what we are doing.
Okay, the last year's success, I was a bit thrilled when I saw the documentary running in terms of the arrangements for accommodation, transportation, and even welfare of pilgrims from what was televised over here in Nigeria. Do you intend to improve on this?
Oh, absolutely, yes. The human endeavor is also not static, and then obviously there's room for improvement always. The chairman of National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nalablai Mukhtar, certainly is not somebody that would accept a mediocre outing in anything. The preparations for 2018 Hajj started at the end of the Hajj operation in 2017. Yes. Before we left Mecca, we had already reviewed areas of lapses, points of achievement, and then areas of improvement in this 2018 Hajj. I assure you, we have already come up with templates that would even capture the moments, the quantities, and stuff like that. Let me take feeding, for instance. This year, we are not only demanding, give us quality and the right quantity of food. We're going further to set standard, so that we'll be able to, it's enough for us to say, you have brought food. Did you bring it on time? Is it the right test for the particular pilgrims you are feeding? Is it the right quantity on the scale or in the container we agreed upon? We are going that far this year. So certainly we are moving on incrementally to higher levels, inshallah.
Okay. A lot of Nigerians, Muslims, Christians alike, name it, generation of Nigerians will see this Hajj as a very strategic one, coming on just few months before the 2019 general elections. So what kind of prayers will we be doing over there? Because it's a religious exercise. Let me start with before coming to Abuja.
Well,
there's a lot of agitation. How is 2019 going to do that? So what kind of prayer point are we going to have?
You are aware that pilgrimage, both the Christian and Muslim pilgrimage, it's a religious journey. And then it is expected from each and every individual, pilgrims, that whenever he finds himself in the Holy Land, both Christians and Muslims, they are to pray for the nation, to have a peaceful atmosphere within the nation. We know what is prevailing within our country regarding the insecurity. So all our pilgrims, they are aware of what is going on. All their prayer are geared towards having a peaceful environment within the country. More so that we are going to have our next election in 2019. There's nothing other than to pray for the nation to have a successful and hitch-free election. So all our pilgrims are aware. During orientation, we do tell them at the departure level, even in the Holy Land, we do encourage them to pray for the nation and the peaceful atmosphere within the country so that we should have a smooth, a hitch-free election.
Let me quickly get to Shehu Wada.
Yes.
He has talked about the need
yes.
for...
Well, at the return legs, the challenges that we always... The director has shed light about that. That usually the urge for while going, we expected to airlift for minimum 3 weeks. While coming back, the same is expected of us. For every Nigerian, the moment you finish performing your ibadah, you want to come back on the same day. And we are operating in the foreign land. We have slot issue, we have screening-based issue, which with the help of National Hajj Commission, we are fine-tuning away and we are improving. And you know, experience, the most proper thing about experience, the insight that you gain in the experience. You gain a tremendous insight in it. It's not like before when you see people sleeping. And I know we have capacity, and everybody, even the other nation, are also soliciting for our help to rescue them. So we have capacity. We are full of capacity.
So you are assuring that this year...
assuring them that they will see tremendous improvement.
Okay.
If I could come in on that, John, see, it's very easy to sit down, give assurance and so on and so forth. I think it's important we do some expectation management.
Okay.
By rule, like he said, you're supposed to airlift your pilgrims within a period of 3 weeks to 4 weeks. And then you bring them back in the same order. If you have pilgrims up to 40,000, indeed from 25,000 onwards, you have to spread them like this, as per the Saudi regulations. Why? So that people would, the airports in Jeddah and Medina would be able to accommodate the number of flights coming in.
Okay.
And two, therefore the bay for screening the pilgrims to either go into the Saudi cities or come out and go back home are limited. You therefore have to treat one flight load, then the next, in the limited number of gates you have. So it has to be arranged that way. So this is why even if we have capacity in excess of our need, even if the Saudi authorities, the Saudi airlines are not going to take 30% of our pilgrims, they leave it to us. The machines we have between Max Air, Medview, and the others are more than enough.
Okay.
They will require more number of pilgrims.
So this said the delay would not be there?
It would be there, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And don't even call it delay.
Okay.
The arrangement is set in such a way that you cannot come earlier than that time.
Okay.
Because you have to allow the nations to go, and you go with them as you went in. So people would better expect this realistically. I don't know of any nation with 25,000 and above that comes back in less than 35 days.
Okay.
And
it's not limited to Nigeria.
And safety is paramount.
Okay.
And
above any convenience.
On the airline issue, our major challenge there is, first of all, I would like to appreciate the federal government for their intention of bringing in a national carrier. Definitely, we have been suffering from prices of airline ticketing. The local airline, also that we expect to get a lower price, is not low at all. We will get it.
This we hope that will be by next year's
so,
Hajj, right?
So we hope if the national carrier will be ready by next year,
maybe we can have an ease on the issue of airline. Even the international one also too exorbitant.
Okay.
We really hope that the pilgrim can have an ease on that. On the payment for other services, whatever payment for other services that any Nigerian that is going for Hajj, we expect that we can be considered by the government, since Saudi Arabia has made it a policy whereby every payment must be on e-payment through the Hajj portal. We believe that whatever payment that we need to do as tour operators need to pass through the National Health Commission of Nigeria onto Saudi, so that for easy transfer of fund. Then also I also need to talk on the issue of the Hajj scheme raised by the NACON. Definitely in the countries where they have been doing Hajj scheme, at the moment some of the countries even pay half of the Hajj fare because of their Hajj scheme. Okay. Whatever they are making they make from the Hajj scheme, they make use of it to make sure that they have lessened the cost of the Hajj for their for their people. Mm. They believe if the Nigerians would adopt to the program of Hajj scheme, Hajj fare will be much easier, will be much lower. Secondly, even the accommodation in Saudi Arabia and the rest of it, if we can have Hajj scheme, we can be able to obtain an accommodation, enter a contract of like 10 years at a lower price, so that within that 10 years, Nigeria can be able to enjoy. You talked about they have been doing it. Okay. Even if we can have an investors that can come join hand with NACO, join hands with us, we invest into houses in Mecca. You can have a landlord that was not even able to complete his house. You can enter a contract with 10 years, 20 years with him, complete the house, and at the end of the day, the fare will be much lower for the people. Even if they say governors, if they can come in, invest some money through obtain a house for 10 years, 20 years for the pilgrim of their state. Okay. Sign a good contract. The pilgrim of their state will be enjoying a lower price of Hajj other than other states.
I assure you, there are too many NGOs operating on the area of Hajj and Umrah. But Hajj Mauritius particularly is prominent. And I assure you, we listen to you, we listen to your reports, we use them as much as we could, alongside other organizations like yours. When it comes to sponsorship for the Hajj, in 2018, I would even thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk on that. This year, apart from medical personnel and some preachers, muallims, no other category of personnel is taken outside the staffers of the commission because of the low number of pilgrims.
What about the media?
Media, thank you very much. We don't have that. Yes, indeed, even the aviation industry, there are quite a few. So in other words, it's limited. Over the years, you have something like pilgrim assistants and so on and so forth. We take hundreds of them. My brothers this year, help us pray for more pilgrims next year. Then we look your way, inshallah.
Okay. The government does come up with so many policies that has put so much money into the hands of farmers. Are farmers really much in this pilgrimage?
I will tell you.
Because we hear farmers have so much money now.
Let me tell you. Last year, from our statistics, over 70% were farmers and herdsmen. Talking about farmers, so this year, with the obvious flashes of farmers, herdsmen, and other forms of clashes across the country, particularly here in the north, you discover that the figure is very much lower than what we had last year.
Really?
So it's an obvious indication that if this real sector of the economy is allowed to function, so much could happen. It's not only the Hajj. Who goes for the Hajj? The religion tells us, meaning those who can afford, those who have the means, health, and of course. And most of the time is gone when you get state government, federal government sponsored individuals to go and perform the Hajj. People pay their money with their hard-earned money. So therefore, we're moving somewhere. And even this year, if we are to extend the period like last year, we would reach the same over 60,000 pilgrims, because we were at about this figure, 30,000 last year, about now. And then by the time it took us another 4 weeks onwards, we reached over 63,000. Okay. People are used to this. So I believe by next year they know that it's a serious thing, they will pay on time, so we won't have any problem. But certainly most of the pilgrims, even this year, are either farmers or cattle rearers.
Okay, let me hear from Butu. He's directly involved with them. What experience do you have?
Yeah, the experience that we have, really, as you said, most of them are farmers, and some of them they are even people that engage in the business of farm products. If I can give an example, somebody said, yeah, let me do business farm product, get money before I bring up that money. Most of the people are engaged in selling farm products. Definitely, there are a lot of, the most important thing is that for them to take it behind their mind that Hajj is no more supermarket shopping. You need to pay in time if you want to participate in Hajj. As I said earlier, anybody that is interested in going for Hajj...
My emphasis is on the percentage of farmers who are involved in the Hajj operations this year. Like he said, this year, maybe as a result of header farmers, the population has whittled down. So what's your own experience with them?
That definitely is right. Okay. We definitely have that experience, because the headers and the farmers are the major. When you look at areas when I came from, like in Taraba, because of these clashes in Taraba, the percentage of their pilgrims has gone down very much, because most of them were displaced. Okay. Because of the crisis in Taraba. Likewise, major areas where there is crisis.
There will be an improvement by next year.
Inshallah.
I always see the FCT as a melting point. FCT is the Center of Unity in Nigeria. And I'm sure your own pilgrims are not just from FCT. It's a portfolio of almost all the states, right?
Honestly.
So how are you coping with it?
Well, actually...
What criteria are you using to sift out and get a clear picture in line with the guidelines put across to you by the Hajj Commission?
Yes. We have been in this business for quite a long time. Let me start from the issue of this, my brothers, cattle rearers and farmers. We had a situation whereby before FCT first, second and third flight, purely are Fulanis and farmers, because they are the one that comes early and pay early. But this year, there's a little bit low now. And as you have said, FCT is in Nigeria in particular. We're all tribes here in Nigeria. So you cannot say particular people are paying for FCT, it's all Nigerians. As I'm telling you today, some people came from Katsina, Sokoto to do their biometric. They came and pay here from here. And they have their relatives from here working in FCT. They do pay for them to come and be lifted through Abuja.
Okay.
So to manage FCT, I'm not exaggerating, I'm managing Nigeria.
Okay.
That is why when it comes to our official, taking our official, like preachers, we used to give also Fulani in particular, we will give the local tribes here, Ibra, Gana, Bagi, and the rest. We give Yoruba, but essentially even Igbo, so that it go across the preacher all over. Our officials, they go across the entire Nigeria. It's a mini Nigeria FCT. So it takes time with intervention of the FCT administration and prayers that we're able to control. And all the officials in FCT, we are mindful of the fact that we are going to stand before Almighty God, Allah, and give account for our stewardship. That's why when we are talking about Hajj reporters taking for us, we really appreciate their own work, but we are going to stand before Almighty God and give account. So we have to stay there. As I'm telling you, I left my office at 9:30 when they called me for this program. I was still in the office, just to make sure that things go the way it's supposed to. And lastly, an average FCT man knows his own right. Okay. For you to manage an FCT, one person from FCT, you are managing 10 people from other states. I'm not exaggerating. We have so many people there in disguise. Some security agents, some media men, they all pay to go through FCT in disguise. So we have been very careful with handling affairs on FCT.
Okay.
That's why now sometimes they give us grace of time. I was the first person to be given that 25th. Between last week and today, I got more than 200 pilgrims paid. Before, at last 2 weeks, I had only 1,166 pilgrims. As I'm telling you today, I have registered 1,424. You can see what Mr. Suleiman is saying. So FCT is at the last point, they keep on paying.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that I'm going to be beyond 1,500 in my own.
Okay.
My own.
Let me come to Suleiman Laun. We've heard of Sokoto, Kanu, Gombe. What about from the southern flank? Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Imo, Anambra, Benue, all those places.
I'll tell
What's the
you
turnout
this,
like?
point blank. We have 23 from Enugu as of today. Lagos is doing beautifully well. They are going to reach about 1,000. Bayelsa, unfortunately, we don't expect to hear from them this year. Equally,
Why?
no show from Akwa Ibom.
Okay.
Reasons, in some cases, are either operational or administrative. Not because the people are not there that are willing to pay. Indeed, even Rivers, we expect some money from them, some payments from them, but I believe from my last information they're not yet in there. Why? Because differ from state to state. Enugu had no management at a certain point in time. No board appointed by state government. Until recently, they appointed our former board member, Sheikh Idoko. And the old man straightened everything, made necessary payments to the commission, got assurances and coverages from his state government, and now here is where they are. At least they are on the map. If you take Bayelsa, they don't have a board for quite some time. Since the former wonderful lady Zainab died, there seems to have been nothing coming from that end. So we expect them to sort their acts out and come forth. Obviously, their allocations normally don't go beyond 30, 50 because of the low number of the Muslim population there.
Okay.
And in some cases where even you have the resident local population, the state governments, for one reason or other, choose to rather pay for some pilgrims and then no room for anyone else.
Okay.
Inadvertently, I believe it's because they didn't quite understand the concept. The Hajj, Northwest gives you the largest number of people each year, going to about 70%. 60 to 70% each year. North Central comes in next, then Northeast, and then you move to Southwest. Even there, states like Lagos and Oyo give you high number. Ondo, Ekiti, you get very number for obvious reasons. And totally so when you go to South-South and Southeast, it's the same pattern every year.
Okay.
But alhamdulillah.
Well, from the expositions, the line of thought you have given, it's as good as saying we are good and set and right to go for the 2018 Hajj operations in Saudi.
Inshallah.
Well, let's say tying up, what word of assurance do you have for the Muslim Ummah and Nigerian generally for the 2018 Hajj?
Well, as you are aware, we have all said it all. They are all the states plus the private tour operators who are set for this journey. My own take for our Muslim brother is to be patient and to collaborate with us. Without pilgrims, there wouldn't have been boats. You just heard what Suleiman said. In some part of the country, they don't have the boat because there are no pilgrims. So we are stakeholders. We are all partners in progress. Without them, we cannot survive. And without us, they can also go on their own. So you should be patient, listen to us, believe in us, so that we could have a Hajj-free Hajj operation, Hajj collaboration, and everything will be in order. That's what we might take up. And whenever we're in the Holy Land, we should not forget about our dear countries and our elders, so that we should have a smooth running of our affairs of the nation and peaceful atmosphere to have Hajj-free election and other things that we are going to do for the development of the country. That's one of my take out for the figures.
Yes, we see it as a service for the nation, as an opportunity to serve our country, Nigeria. And we've put all our machinery in shape, and we will not leave any stone unturned to see that we deliver the service.
And you just to reinforce what you said before, you know, the Hajj Commission has put in so much, but they also rely on you a lot to also put in your checklist or do your safeguards regarding the issues of abscondment or irregularities. Have you taken care of this?
Abscondment, I think, it relies on a National Hajj Commission. Our own is to lead.
That's the point I'm making.
So, but in whatever capacity, we know it's a teamwork, and we'll collaborate with National Hajj Commission. We've put a lot of rules and guidelines, and I will also use this forum to appreciate National Hajj Commission. As you know, at times we behave like friends, like brother, like mentor, everything. And when it comes to penalize, they penalize us.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah, we look at Hajj is more like a service to the gates of Allah, not as only a business. Despite we are doing business, but we primarily we look at it as a service to the gates of Allah. Secondly, this year, as I said earlier, we are really prepared. We have reorganized ourselves. We have want to put up machinery for more improved coordination and service delivery. Pilgrim, we will expect the best this year in service delivery, in terms of standard and in terms of quality of even the feeding. As I said earlier, within our monitoring committee, we have even hired a professional caterer to have supervised the feeding arrangement. So pilgrims should expect the best this year. I'm also going to call on the airline to look at the issue of their prices. They should not make us year in, year out to be run to the chairman of NACON for intervention. Last week I was I just arrested him in front of the national mosque for intervention because of the airline prices. They should look at this as a national services and look at the area of airline prices. I will also want to use this opportunity and call on the Nigerian pilgrims. Whoever intend to go for Hajj this year, by tomorrow morning he should run down to the nearest travel agency and pay his money and get registered, unless he is not much ready to go for Hajj this year. Leaving that opportunity is going to be one on those that can be tested this year, can know that if they have not, if they are expecting what normally will happen this year. So an example will be cited on them. That is my call on the pilgrims. I also use this media also to call on all the Nigerians and all tour operators to pray for this our country, so that we can have a smooth transition, that we can conduct our election peacefully and a smooth transaction. Also, equally, the issue of crisis here and there, let's carry ourselves as brothers. We have been living together for over years. We don't know what is happening now. I believe that all Nigerians, we should agree and accept that we are Nigerians. Let's take Nigerians first. An American will die for America. He take America first before his personal interest. Let's take Nigeria as our major interest. If God so wish, he can make us one tribe. If he so wish, he can make us a different tribes. But God said he has made us different tribes so that we can identify each other, so that we can reason with each other. Let's carry ourselves all each other as brothers, so that we live peacefully and make our country better. So Thank you.
Thank you, Putu. Yes, Suleiman, you cap it up.
Well, quickly, to the state and to our operators, I would say the Commission appreciates your efforts, but one would not be tired of pushing further to say continue to enlighten the programs as much as you could, because the object of the program is to go and perform the Hajj. To do that, it needs to be properly oriented. You're doing much, continue to do that. We have plenty of work to do there. To the airlines, I must thank you, because I believe at certain times I even wonder how you make profit or even break even. Because at certain point you position the aircraft, the programs are simply not there for hours. Sometimes you even have to go elsewhere. At certain point, you take off from go to 2-3 airports before you fill it up to go at certain times. We really appreciate that. But I assure you, by next year, when people pay on time, all these things will be history. However, an issue Malam Bashir mentioned a short while ago, I'd want to use this opportunity to reach out to members of the public, particularly this year's intending programs. Please, you can go to any biometric data capturing center to get your data captured, irrespective of where you pay their fare from. There's no point for somebody to come all the way from Katsina to Abuja to get his biometric data captured. Do it in Katsina, it will come on the system. Once you present, but you bring your passport here. But if your passport is already here, maybe that's why they came, I understand. But those that have their passports with them, please go to any nearest center you can find. They will capture biometric data. And I want to thank the Saudi authorities, because we had collected the sum of 1,800 naira, built it into the Hajj fare. Then finally, when the Saudi authorities came, they said, this is balash, free of charge. So I want to thank the Saudi authorities for this magnanimous gesture. And then I believe the refund would follow immediately after the Hajj. If a state could do that now, no objection, but I believe it could be tasking. So the state should expect 1,800 naira coming immediately after the Hajj, alongside others probably.
The refund is based on the volume of the number of pilgrims going?
Yes. Each pilgrim, 1,800 naira would automatically now be refunded to him. Okay. Then when we go to Saudi, if there's any deficit in service delivery, that money would also be refunded to pilgrims, as has been happening for the past few years. Okay.
A caller talked about the beauty of prayers. You have not touched on that as we cap up.
You see, that's the cream, that's the crux of the matter. Hajj in itself is nothing but a journey for prayers. When you offer a prayer here, you have a very high likelihood of its acceptance. When you offer it there, the chances are multiplied, manifold. The Hajj is a spiritual journey, so the purpose is spiritual. So I believe all the needs of each individual pilgrim should be put. First and foremost, you need a secure and peaceful country to be able to do your religious activities when you come back. So it is obvious that all of us need to pray for the country, need to pray for peaceful election, peaceful coexistence in the country, even with non-Muslims and everybody. We are first and foremost human beings. Okay. Then next level, Muslims, Christians, and what have you.
Thank you so much. Starting with Malam Mohammed Bashir, Executive Director, FCT Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board. It was nice having you on Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Shehu Wada, Executive Director, Max Airlines. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And Alhaji Saliu Abdullahi Butu, Acting President, Association of Hajj and Umrah Operators of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Last but not the least, Suleiman Usman, Director of Policy, Research, Information and Library Services of the National Hajj Commission. It was not have you on Tuesday Live.
Thank you very much.
Well, it is all said and done that 32,000 pilgrims are due to depart Nigeria effective the 21st of July 2018, starting with Abuja, followed by Kogi State, to Saudi for this year's starting with Kogi, I beg your pardon, for this year's Hajj operations in Saudi Arabia. The preparations are in place and all the grey areas put in place to ensure a smooth Hajj this year. Thanks for being there tonight on Tuesday Live. It was nice having you and all those who called in. We thank you for your line of thoughts and commendations to the Hajj Commission and other operatives and stakeholders, and also to the NTA for allowing you know what is going on with this year's 2018 Hajj operations. Thanks for watching. On behalf of all of us, bye-bye.